I have a new guitar to show you. So this guitar isn't an early Christmas present to myself. It's not the reason that I'm opening it in front of my Christmas tree. And I want to give a massive shout out and a big thank you to Karl from Karl Longbottom Guitars for loaning me the 037. This is one pickup, one volume control, and one tone control. And it's got me asking the question, which we're going to explore in today's video: how versatile is a single pickup guitar, and what can you do with them? Hello everyone, thanks for joining me for today's video. I hope you're all having a great week wherever you are. And today, like I mentioned, I want to explore the versatility of single pickup guitars. Now, as I mentioned, Karl has very kindly lent me this guitar for a few weeks to just really have a play on, because I'm a massive fan of the whole single pickup, no frills approach to guitars. The Gibson Les Paul Jr. is probably the closest relative to this guitar. Just a single P90 volume and tone, but this guitar from Karl Longbottom has a few tricks up its sleeve which I will get to. But before we dive into that, it's worth mentioning that this guitar is pretty much the sort of like origin, if you like, of most solid body electric guitars. The only thing that really predates this in terms of a more traditional and contemporary in the realm of what we would consider an electric guitar today, the only thing that really predates it is the Fender Esquire, which was the predecessor to the Telecaster, which came out in 1949. We then had the Broadcaster in 1950, which then ended up becoming the Telecaster. And this came out in 1954, or at least the Gibson Les Paul Jr., which this is, I guess, a sort of nod to. And it really is a guitar shape, construction, pickup configuration that has really stood the test of time. And there are so many great players who have used Les Paul Jr. style guitars over the years. There's people like Keith Richards, Gary Moore, and one of my favorite uses of a Les Paul Jr. and what really got me interested in this guitar was a performance that I saw of Keith Urban playing a Les Paul Jr. on his song Stupid Boy, and if you watch that on YouTube, I'll put a link in the description, but the tone that he gets on that song is just everything that I love about the sound of these guitars. Now, the P90 pickup is the big contributor for why I love the tone of these types of guitars, with it being sort of like a beefy single coil, and I've always really enjoyed single coil pickups, mainly being a Strat player. But if you just want something, a little bit beefier, a bit fatter, then it really is a great option. And I absolutely love where the P90 pickup is positioned on these types of guitars, with them being really close to the bridge. It means that you can get a lot of variation in tone. If you pick near the bridge, you can emulate the sort of twang of a Telecaster, and then if you sort of pick nearer the fretboard, you'll be getting into sort of, Gretsch or even sort of humbucker territory, especially if you add some overdrive and distortion. These are sort of real powerhouses. But that's not the main reason that I love this guitar. Now, a huge part of guitar playing for me is sort of feeling connected to the guitar, and I want the guitar to be the real sort of instrument of tone in my rig. I don't want it to be about sort of like the pedal board or the amp. I want the guitar to do most of the heavy lifting, because I don't want to rely on pedals for all of my tonal options, although, you know, having a few that are going to do a good job is really important. But a guitar like this, when you just have one pickup, there's so much you can do just by manipulating the volume and tone control. The difference between 7 and 10 on the volume control is the difference between a nice sort of edge of breakup clean tone and a sort of heavy overdrive. And don't worry, all of this I'm going to show you in context shortly. But a quick sort of story to add a little bit more context to that. I played this at a gig last Saturday with my friend Ashley. It was again just a duo set, you know, a lot of sort of Americana, you know, acoustic stuff, singer-songwriter, a pretty mellow set. And I took a fairly minimal pedal board. I just had a Nobles ODR Mini, which was kind of like my one overdrive pedal. I had a reverb, I had a delay and a tremolo, and I was running it through my Rev D20 on just sort of a very, very clean setting. And the way that I set my rig is that I had my sort of Nobles ODR at kind of like solo level, I suppose. So definitely louder than I would be able to play if I was just accompanying her with that volume and that tone the whole time. But it was kind of what I would be using if I was doing a solo. And all I did was I just rode the volume control for the whole gig. I didn't step on a pedal unless it was modulation. And if I was playing, you know, in a verse and it was something clean, I was on about 6, and then if I was taking a solo or doing any lead work, I would just turn it up to 10, and it just sounded absolutely great. It really helped me stay rooted in the music. I was just thinking about the song and thinking about playing the guitar, and I wasn't thinking about what pedal I need to step on and all of that sort of stuff. And it was just like a very liberating experience, I suppose, for lack of a better word. And in that example that I mentioned earlier about that Keith Urban song, that's how he used his Les Paul Jr. It was very much a case of just using the volume control and really manipulating that to achieve the tonal spectrum that he was kind of going for that song. And having had first-hand experience of that now, I know how important that is. For me anyway, you know, those are the types of guitar tones that I like. I always like guitar players that are very dynamic, and these guitars are perfect for that. It is just all about touch, dynamic, and feel. So in the track that I played towards the start of this video, I had the same tone on every single guitar part. It was just that Nobles ODR and some reverb, and the only difference was where the volume was set on the guitar. But let's do that in isolation now, and I'm going to show you the rhythm part that was set roughly around about 6 or 7 on the volume control. And you'll hear that it's a really nice clean tone that could easily just be any guitar set on 10 into a clean amp. Now what this guitar is so great at is dealing with that taper in the volume. The sweep of the volume control is really, really even. So you get a lot of difference between, you know, each increment in the actual pot, as opposed to going from sort of 0 to 3 and then there's just like a big jump, or there's no real taper after that. It's almost just like an on-off, which is what you see on a lot of guitars. The taper isn't always very even. And what you'll also see with this, because of the type of pot that Karl uses, is that as you turn down, you don't actually lose any high end, which is, again, a really, really important factor if you want to play dynamically and you want to play with your volume control. Having a pot in the guitar that retains that character of the sound and doesn't make it all muffled and, you know, you lose all of that clarity. It's important to retain that quality, which this guitar definitely does. So now let's turn this guitar up to 10 and you'll hear how much gain is on tap just with the same settings on the pedals and on the amp. Now, I guess the best term to use in all of this is nuance, really. Especially for my guitar playing, what I'm really working on and what I definitely want to get better at in 2024 is being a little bit more sort of delicate with how I sort of approach playing the guitar, but also really trying to explore the different nuances in how you can play a certain phrase, you know, experimenting with playing on your volume control, you know, slightly below 10, or manipulating the tone control, or just adding more dynamics with your picking or with your left hand. I just want to try next year to really explore getting the most out of my guitar and out of my guitar playing as possible. You know, if you play with your guitar at 10 all the time, you're kind of at a ceiling, and you can use pedals, of course you can, but you're kind of always right there, sort of at the pinnacle of volume and dynamic range. But there's a whole world to explore below that. And there's a lot of great guitar players that are great at this. I mean, Tom Bukovac is one of my biggest sort of inspirations, and he can go from playing really softly, light touch, very quiet, to a sort of like raucous sound with, you know, a lot of attack, really kind of digging into the guitar. And it's just really beautiful. And all of that is just done on this piece of wood with 6 strings on it and your hands at the end of the day. And I think the more connected you can feel to your guitar, the better your guitar playing will sort of be as a result of that. So that's definitely something that I'm working on. And this guitar has really sort of helped me work on that and has inspired me to keep pushing forward with it. I think that's always really important, right? It's not about sort of, oh, what new guitar can I buy? But it's more just a case of like, well, what is that guitar doing for you? That's a big reason of why I don't connect with some guitars and I do connect with others. With this one, I feel very connected to it. It is making me want to pick it up and play, and it's making me play in different ways, which is sort of the whole point for me. So to summarize, one pickup is definitely enough. If you especially experiment with the volume control, the tone control, your picking dynamics, a guitar like this is really going to force you to sort of explore the full range of the instrument and your own playing. And especially with that pickup, especially with some pedals as well, this guitar is at home in any musical situation. It's why when you look at the list of guitar players who have played Les Paul Juniors, you know, they span multiple genres, you know, different influences, different tones, but they all sound great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this quick look at this very cool guitar. I will leave all of Karl's information down in the description, so make sure to check out his website to view the full range of instruments. More will be featured on this channel over the next few weeks, and make sure if you have any questions to follow Karl on social media. Drop him a line, drop him a message. He's such a lovely person, so he'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have on this guitar or any of the others. If you haven't already, do consider hitting the subscribe button on this channel and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the guitar, the tones, the way that I shoot my videos, you know, anything. If you can just hit that subscribe button, it really does help out the channel. And leave a comment down below and let me know if you've had any experience playing single pickup guitars, what you love about them, what you're unsure of, and, you know, if you haven't given them a go, maybe this video will inspire you to go and check them out. As always, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. enjoy the rest of your week. I'm going to head out now and grab a coffee and try to finish off some Christmas shopping, because I'm determined not to leave things until the last minute. But yeah, that doesn't always work. So I'm going to go and do that, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right, take care, folks.